this country has a very serious housing problem, right? Housing affordability is a massive issue, and it's not going away. In fact, it's getting worse. Everything that I see happening is just making houses more expensive, harder to build. It's just a continuation of what I have seen for the last 20 years being a property developer in New Zealand, is that every government and every council make it harder and more expensive to build new housing. If you've ever wondered why our housing is unaffordable, it's because that's the whole system that we've got, the whole structure of the system. Everything we do makes housing unaffordable, all right? And it's not landlords. God, the comments I get online about people saying, oh, landlords are pushing up the price of houses. Landlords make the rents too high. That's complete rubbish. Landlords don't have any control over housing, all right? They don't control the prices. They don't have control over anything. They're price takers. When you buy a property off the plans, or you buy an existing property as an investor, you have to pay what the market is, all right? And the market right now, in fact, is favoring existing property a little bit, because the cost of new construction has been pushed up once again. The latest thing is government standards, right? They've increased the building code again. So they've increased insulation standards. We now need to put thermal breaks in the aluminium joinery, right? In our windows. I mean, in the Waikato, we've got a few weeks a year when it's really cold. Why do we need thermally broken windows? We don't. Apparently we need it because of sustainability. We've got to save the freaking planet, all right? Which is great, and it's important and all of that. But we are a tiny little country of a few million people. We could be blimmin' all just burning fires in our houses every day, and it wouldn't make a damn bit of difference. But what does make a difference is we have people living in their cars. You know, we've got overcrowding in homes. We've got people who can't afford to buy their first homes, and that's not important, right? Why is it more important for us to put thermal breaks in our windows to potentially benefit the environment in some possible way, in some, I don't know, but people living in motels, children growing up in motels, and people living in cars, and people not being able to afford to buy, live in a decent home, that's okay. We're okay with that as New Zealanders. Well, I don't know. Seems like a double standard to me. There's a whole lot of this greenwashing and people virtue signaling and going to all these meetings and, oh, we're saving the environment. They're not saving the environment. If you want to save the environment, shut down some factories in China, shut down some coal-fired power plants. I've just been in LA, you've got 18 lanes of motorways with cars running 24/7. I mean, what we do in New Zealand, is it really going to make any difference? And I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, right? I'm all for cutting pollution. I'm all for protecting the environment. I want clean water. I want us to have national parks and be able to enjoy the outdoors and, clean, green New Zealand. It's one of the things that we've got going for us, and it's only clean and green because there are only a few of us, right? If we had 20 million people here, New Zealand wouldn't be clean and green. We know better than anybody else. But if I come back to housing, it's just incredibly frustrating that it's always one step forward, two steps back. So even in my council here in Waipa, in Cambridge, the government's put pressure on the councils to make it easier to intensify. So they've brought in some new rules. You can build a little bit closer to the boundary. Height to boundary has got a little bit easier, so you can put a bit more on a site. Okay. What else have they done? You can increase site coverage a little bit. So there's a few things that have been changed at the margin, which should make it more viable to build some more density. But then at the same time, what have they done? They've brought in an infrastructure overlay. So over the whole of Waipa now, you can't do anything without getting council consent for infrastructure, right? And the first thing you have to do is get a water assessment. Well, you can only get a water assessment through one consultancy because they hold the model, so they can charge whatever they like. So your water assessment's going to cost somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. So until you pay that, you have no surety over anything, okay? And even once you've paid that, and it says that the water assessment's okay, that's only step one, right? There are another 50 steps that you need to follow. There are a whole lot more consultants that you need to pay, and council fees and all the rest of it. Everybody's clipping the ticket, right? There are too many people clipping the ticket. That's the problem that we face. That's one of the main reasons that our housing is so unaffordable, is that everyone's got their hands in the cookie jar. You know, everyone wants to take their share. Look at Hamilton City Council. They're increasing development contributions 100% over the next 3 years. All right, so it's 30% this year, 30%, 30%. They're increasing rates about 100% over the next 3 years. You know, the insurance companies are putting up, insurance is going through the roof. Everybody is taking their cut. You know, houses aren't unaffordable for no reason. It's not because landlords are making some huge profits or developers are all making money hand over fist. I mean, let me assure you, doing property development is a very difficult business. It is fraught with risk. And yes, it can go well. And there are times when it's fantastic, right? When things just work out and you make excellent profits. But if it were easy, everybody'd be doing it, right? And we all know that, you know, plenty of developers go broke. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I've started my property development mastery course, is to teach people how to do property development properly. It doesn't have to be high risk, okay? It doesn't have to be a boom bust kind of thing. You can create a property development business that generates reliable profits, consistent profits, but you have to go about it in the right way. And that means you don't do your first development and buy a Ferrari, you know? You have to be sensible. You have to think about it like any other business. But coming back to it again, look, the frustrating thing is that everyone keeps putting roadblocks in place. No one is really serious about creating affordable housing. The governments aren't serious. The councils aren't serious. All of these affordable housing groups, everyone's getting paid. The consultants are getting paid, and they're all getting together and they're all talking and they're all getting paid for doing nothing, absolutely nothing, okay? Nothing is being done to make housing more affordable, only more expensive every single day. Thanks for listening.